and I started reading and never stopped, and began doing some other things as well. At some point, I abandoned 16th century French poetry, which was my research interest at the time, abandoned it utterly, and began spending any time I could working on Jacques Ellul. And I always thought that I had done this because I thought Ellul was so important. I thought his thinking was fundamental. It was upsetting and controversial, and yet in so many areas of life, so very many areas, his thought was right on, it seemed to me. In both his more sociological side and in his theological side. So it seemed natural to me to abandon my more scholarly interest, which wasn't going anywhere anyway, by the way, which I liked very much, but I was quite unable to pursue much in the way of publishing after publishing a dissertation. So I very happily surrounded myself with the Ellul project from then on, and as we were saying at the dinner table, I spent a year in Bordeaux with my family when I interviewed Ellul quite regularly, and that was a highlight, of course, of my life. But recently, quite recently actually, an old friend who knew something of my previous interest in French literature and also knew of my interest in Ellul, gave me a rather odd look and said, well, you people, meaning you, not just me, he said, you people have made quite a career for yourselves out of Ellul, haven't you? And I gasped and began defending all of us. You didn't know anything about this, but I was defending you. And saying, no, it was because Ellul was so important and because people needed to know what he had to say. And we needed to adapt Ellul's thinking to current ways of thinking so that people would understand his contribution. And on, and I stumbled as I'm stumbling now. And after a while, I realized that that is one of the reasons I landed in Ellul studies. I needed a research interest. I needed to publish. I needed to keep my mind going. Students don't always do that for me. And this is what I landed with. So it's not as simple as I thought, for me at least. I'm not accusing any of you, mind you. Only my friend accuses you. I do not. But I landed in Ellul studies because I needed something to do. And this is what I found. And I thought it was only because I believed Ellul's message needed to be propagated. And I wanted to do my part in propagating it, but there was much more to it than that. And I'm still struggling with this, as you can tell. But that's my story.
Okay. A couple of things here. Joyce, I need you to sit at the table when you're ready.
Yes, I will sit.
So the other part of this is, I don't think we made it clear, but you probably all know that Joyce is the author of about 5 massive volumes of bibliography of Jacques Ellul's works. And she is the most meticulous detective on the face of the earth. And this has not been easy because Jacques Ellul wrote thousands of articles. He wrote little pieces in newspapers, and Joyce has tracked these things down. Also, she translated several of Jacques'